Welcome to the Rinkside Rundown podcast, showcasing the incredible women's hockey players from around the world through compelling interviews and discussions alongside your host, Chris Sinclair.
Hello and welcome back to the Rinkside Rundown podcast. Today, I'm joined by Alyssa Regalado, a defender with Cornell University and graduate of the incredible Etobicoke Dolphins program. Alyssa, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well, just enjoying what's left of my summer, and can't wait to get back to Cornell and get the season started.
Yeah, most of us are sitting here saying, you know what, it's August, beginning of August. It's still chill time. We still have tons of time to relax and enjoy the summer. You don't have that luxury. Not to say that's not a bad thing, but you're off. You want to share a little bit about, what's upcoming for you in terms of how you're going to be spending your August?
Yeah, so as it recently came out, I will be attending the Canada National Women's Development Team, which we leave this weekend. So my August has started last week and ends this week. But hey, I love the game, so I'm excited to get back into the rink and to be able to play with players the highest of my age group, and to be able to spend a couple weeks with them will be a really exciting experience.
Yeah, that was a great single week of August that you got to enjoy.
Yeah, it went like that. That's all I got.
Yeah, it went like that for me as well, but I also have the next 3 weeks to enjoy. So I respect that. So, let's take a big step back and just kind of talk about, obviously you're an incredible player. You're continuing your career with Cornell. Let's talk about, what was it about hockey initially that drew you to the sport, just in general?
So actually, when I was younger, I wanted to be a figure skater. But my dad played growing up, and he kind of put me into the game and got me started with it all. But I remember around the age of 11, my team got the chance to travel down to the Boston area and tour some schools like Harvard and Northeastern. We got to watch a couple games as well. And I remember being able to experience that at such a young age was really cool, and to be able to see that I could play at a level like this someday, and to meet some of the girls that are from this area, from the Toronto area, and that now they're playing down in Boston for a university was a pretty cool experience. And that kind of gave me the mentality that I wanted to do that someday. So,
especially being a defender, I think that's a really unique position. I mean, for any number of reasons, but one of them is also the fact that, your edge work needs to be absolutely on point. I obviously it goes for every position, but especially as you're skating backwards and you have to, accelerate the play out of your zone, all those sorts of things. What kind of impact do you think having that desire to have been a figure skater may have helped you with your edge work and becoming the incredible defender that you are?
I think figure skating is definitely a big part of the skating game in general, in all aspects of sport. I know a lot of even NHL players to this day use figure skaters as their skating coaches, and they meet with them probably once a week at least, if not more. So I know there's a ton of female figure skaters that are now coaching the best NHL players, and I know there's quite a few in this area. But definitely it would have helped a lot. But I had the opportunity to train with some figure skaters over the years. And I think that has also really helped my edge work and, like you said, acceleration. So I think there's definitely a good correlation between the two. And if you can figure skate, it's not a bad thing. It'll definitely help with the game of hockey.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think that's one of the things that people don't necessarily realize is, and you pointed it out, where it's NHLers, especially now more than ever, absolutely, are actually working with figure skaters in terms of how they're skating and how they can be better with their edge work and all those sorts of things. And it's interesting to see the impact that female athletes are having in the male sport. And I think it's something that's really overlooked is that impact. And it's obviously for you, being able to, and we'll get into it in a bit, but you being able to represent Canada, you be able to now represent Canada a second time, that continued work with figure skating and those those incredible coaches. Again, could you talk a little bit about what that has meant for you in terms of not just on ice, but also off ice with your confidence as well?
Yeah, I think over the years, I've definitely had many different coaches that I've worked with in all aspects: shooting, skating, skills, positional skills, all kinds of different things. And I think being able to train with all these different people over the years has definitely given me different perspectives on the game. And some people see it in one way and some people see it in the other. And then it's kind of me trying to find what works best for me. And maybe what they say is a great point, but I don't feel quite comfortable with it. And then they help me kind of adapt to what would be best for me and best for my game. So I think being able to experience these different skills with all these different coaches has really helped create my game to what it is today. So I think over the years, being able to meet all these different figure skating coaches and all these different skills coaches has definitely helped to grow my game to what it is today.
Oh, I love that. And a foundation to that as well is the impact of your family. So you've touched upon your dad. Let's talk about that. I always say that, especially when it comes to sports in general, it's not inexpensive. And that's inexpensive in terms of both financially and time. And to have a family there to be able to support you, encourage you, and maybe push you at times, maybe challenge you at times. What did it mean to you to have your family behind you, especially now as you're going in, you've been in at Cornell, you've continued your career with Cornell, and ideally it'll continue into the PWHL and all those sorts of things as well. But what has family meant to you throughout this process?
It's meant a ton. My family's made so many sacrifices for me, especially my dad. He has come everywhere. I don't think he's missed a game at Cornell for the last 2 seasons, like a home game. So they've been to the World Championships with me when I got to represent Team Canada. My dad puts a lot of time and effort into taking me different places and to finding all these different skills coaches, and he always reaches out to different people to give me these opportunities to learn these new skills and to really develop my game. So definitely my game would not be where it is without them, and they just continue to support me every day. So it's really exciting to see that they can be a part of this journey too.
And seeing the smile on your face as you're describing the impact that they had on you, I think is everything. And I just kind of wanted to know, when you, what do you think are some of the biggest impacts that your family has had on you throughout your career, especially now, again, as you continue your collegiate career, and you're looking at what that next step would be? Could you kind of expand on that a little bit and just talk about some more of the specifics around the impact that your family's had on you?
Well, yeah, like I said, they just continue to support me. My dad comes, like I said, my dad comes down to Cornell every weekend he can, and then my mom will try to come to. My sister also plays. She's younger. She's 4 years younger than me, so she also plays. So whenever they can get the chance to come down, they'll come down too. But whenever even I'm home for the summer, they're always trying to ask me if I need anything, if I need help with anything. My mom is always have dinners prepared. She'd always ask me if there's anything I want to eat in particular, helping me kind of meet my nutrition goals. And then, like I said, my younger sister plays, so she likes to train with me a lot too. So we try to work together, work off each other, which is fun as well. So it's fun that they are able to keep going with me over the years, and I haven't dragged them down or tried them out yet. They're still excited to be a part of the journey.
Yeah, and I would say that obviously with the success that you're having in your career, and again, as you've progressed through your collegiate career, that has to be really, really encouraging for them to see that, let's highlight them for a moment. They're like, hey, listen, we've invested a lot of time and effort in terms of seeing you be successful, and obviously you're enthusiastic about the sport of hockey, but to see that success that you've had representing your country, all of those sorts of things, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I also don't want to forget. So I want to ask it now. When you had the conversation and were invited into, or you were invited to Team Canada, we're going to get into your emotions in that moment in a bit. But I want to know, when you went home and you were like, hey, I'm representing Team Canada. What did that mean to your family? What were those feelings and those emotions in that moment?
Yeah, they were pretty all over the place. A little bit of excitement, a little bit of tears of joy, but overall, like, I was just ecstatic. Honestly, just my parents have always helped me along the way, and they would have been happy no matter what. Even if I got the call, they were just happy that I was able to go to this camp to be able to experience playing with these girls, whether I make the team or not. Honestly, it was just being able to play with the girls at the highest level in the whole country. Not many girls get to experience that. So honestly, just being able to enjoy the experience, but getting that call to represent my country was honestly like a dream come true. I know it's pretty cliche to say, but it was just something you dream about from such a young age, and to be able to do it on a world stage, and it was, yeah, pretty speechless, honestly.
Yeah, I can only imagine thinking about that moment. I can't even put it into words, and I've never experienced that. So I feel you on that one. Going back to your roots, as I mentioned off the top, you're a defender. You're a really great defender. What went into your decision to kind of gravitate towards that position as opposed to another position? And rather, have you ever considered, maybe I want to be a goal scorer, or I want to be, I'm good to just hang back at the net, and I'm just gonna save. I'm gonna make saves. Like, what went into your decision to be a defender?
Well, like I've said, my dad's been a huge part of my journey, but from when I started playing hockey, he noticed that I like to kind of stay back and protect my goalie. So he thought I would either be a defenseman or a goalie, but obviously goalie's not a cheap position to play. So started as a defender. Obviously, defenders were not known for scoring many goals, but as the years went on, I tried to kind of elevate my game and grow my game into different ways that I can be a little bit more offensive. So I think being able to play defense, you get to play in all different aspects of the game. Sometimes you make the big save, you make the big block when the goalie's out of position, or you get to go and score the game-winning goal. So I kind of like the diversity that the position offers, and honestly, like, it keeps growing, and I learn many new things every day. So it's a fun position to play.
Yeah, and I guess we'll hold off on a lot more of the specifics, especially as you've progressed through your collegiate career. But where do you think you're at in terms of being a defender? Like, what are some of the things that you've enjoyed most throughout your career about being a defender? And where do you think like, what are some of those things that you would like to, continue working on as you look at what your career would be like as a defender?
Yeah, so like I said, I love the diversity aspect of the game. I know I've had big moments where I've scored overtime game-winning goals, and then I've had moments where it's a penalty kill with 5 minutes left in the game and you're down a goal and you got to make that big block. So I definitely love how each year I'm kind of learning something new that I can apply to my game, whether that's in the D zone on a penalty kill, learning how to block shots in different ways, how to break the puck out, get it up the ice as quick as possible. Then in the O zone, spend a lot of time working on my blue line work, trying to create offense from the blue line. Because I know the game today has evolved, and it's not just forward scoring goals from the hash marks. It's shots from the point, getting deflected, screens, all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like each month, each year, I'm learning something new that I can apply to my game, and I'm just trying to find different ways to use it and to make it as effective as possible.
Oh, I love the passion that you have for not just hockey, but your position specifically. It's really inspiring to hear, like, even after all these years, you're still such a student of the game. And I know that that's also a cliched thing to say, but you are, right? Like, you want to learn more, you want to be that better player. And, speaking of something that or a period of your hockey career that has made a huge impact on you, I wanted to talk about the Etobicoke Dolphins. That is a profoundly incredible program that has I've seen a couple of games, and I was like, it looks like that program is playing, like, that team is playing in an entirely different league. That they're playing in not the right league is what I'm trying to say, is that they need to be elevated. You played there for 4 seasons. what what was that experience like playing for them, and how do you think playing with that program impacted and shaped your game?
Well, I came to the Dolphins organization at a young age, probably around the age of 10 or 11, and I was able to kind of play U11, U15, U13, all the way up till junior. So I think being able to grow throughout that program and to kind of stay with a good core group of girls throughout the years was really positive for my game, and being able to create chemistry with my team definitely helped for the team to be successful over the years. But I think being able to engage with all the different age groups was definitely a big part of my game. I know from a young age, I was able to go and watch the U15s, the U18s, watch the high level of games that they played, and being able to kind of share that experience with them. And then eventually when I got to the U15 level, being able to share that experience with the U10. So it's kind of like being able to show the girls that like the game, how the game grows over the years. And then eventually the junior program, when I was in U15, I got called up to some practices, some games. So that was definitely an exciting experience. And then the 3 years I got to play with the junior Dolphins was definitely an unforgettable 3 years, even though my second year got cut short because of COVID, but happened. But my first and third year were definitely a fun 2 years. We were very successful, as you've mentioned, and I think it prepared me very well for the next level, especially hockey-wise, skill-wise, speed, the game, and then off the ice preparation and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and maybe just talk a little bit about the impact. Joe Butkovich, the head coach there, he has a really unique perspective on hockey. He's had an opportunity to also coach internationally for China and Poland as well. So he brings a lot of experience to the program. And it isn't just him, it's also the coaching staff and all that sort of stuff as well. But could you talk a little bit about the impact that like someone specifically like Joe Butkovich had on you? I actually want to hear specifically off the ice. Like what impact did he have on you off the ice? Because then that kind of plays into you on the ice, but off the ice, I'd love to hear that.
I think the biggest thing for Joe was definitely the connection he tried to build with all of his players. I know for me, he really, like you mentioned, off the ice, he really tried to build a connection with you off the ice. If he'd bump into you before practice, he'd call you over, just have a chat. How's school going? How's life? How was your day? Are you happy? What's going on? And just kind of check in with you just to know, like before practice, oh, maybe you had an off practice. Okay, well, he knows in advance that maybe it wasn't your best day, and then he can kind of work with you on that and help you. He would help you find like a mental performance coach if that was the case and whatnot. But I think definitely the connection that he built with each player helped my game personally, because he knew when I was at my highest highs what was good for me off the ice, how I was doing, what was I doing right on the ice, and then if it was the other way around, what went poorly. He knew how to address me, and he knew, okay, well, I saw this, maybe try changing it. Or even it was as simple as he'd look down at me at the bench and he'd give me a look, and I'd be like, okay, I gotta fix something here. Or he's giving me a look that, hey, keep it up, we need you in this game. And so I think him being able to build that connection off the ice provided a strong relationship between us and helped to grow my game, because he knew in more detail the kind of level of coaching I needed in different aspects.
And that's absolutely incredible. And I think that's one of the things that maybe, the off ice stuff, obviously on ice, like he's the coach, right? So he's got to push you, he's got to push those buttons and all that sort of stuff. But the off ice stuff is, I think, almost like maybe arguably almost more important. When you think back to your time with the Etobicoke Dolphins program, could you maybe, reflect on, you're going into your, as I had mentioned, you're going into your third season with Cornell. Do you want to maybe, like, when you think about your experiences with Joe, with the Dolphins, what were you able to take from those experiences to help you now, to help you through the ups and downs of, especially adjusting to, like, you're a Canadian, you're going to an American university, like it's very different for you, right? What experiences and how do you think that prepared you for where you're at now?
One of the big things I know with Joe and his teams is always the culture he builds around the teams. And it's not always about being the best hockey player, being the most skilled, scoring the most goals. It's all about the off-ice connection you build within the team and within the coaching staff. So I think that definitely helped prepare for games. And when you go on the ice, you are playing for everyone around you because of that connection you have built for one another. It's like, I want to win not just for myself, but I want to win for my teammate. I want to win for my goalie who's making big saves behind us. And I want to win for my coaches who have put in all this time and effort. And so I think that mentality of putting like your teammates first and wanting to win for everyone around you kind of translated into my game over the years, and just putting in that extra effort, not for yourself, not because you feel like you want to do it, but because you know that your teammates need you to do it to win. And I think everyone talks about winning and you got to score goals and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot more that comes to that. And I think being able to play under Joe and through the Dolphins really taught me that, and how I can apply that in different ways, especially off the ice, with the connection and the culture built within the team.
Oof, good answer. Good, fantastic. I love that. I feel so inspired right now. So, we had mentioned it, a few times throughout this conversation, and once again, Alyssa, thank you so much for this. This is incredible. We talked about the fact that you've had the opportunity to represent Canada, and now you've been invited back, which is absolutely amazing. And I want to say a huge congratulations, as you have a smile on your face, as you should, because this is amazing. I wanted to talk about, obviously that first experience. So let's talk about what it meant to represent Canada the first time, and then how you see yourself kind of taking those lessons that you learned the first time around and applying them to how you're going to approach this next, go around, if you will, with Team Canada.
Yeah, so the first time was definitely a unique time. It was during COVID, so there was a lot of different things going on. But I think the biggest part of that experience for me was the fact that the tournament ended up getting canceled in December, rescheduled to April. And so I think being able to just have that second chance to really go out there and be able to play at that stage definitely built up my energy and my excitement to want to go and play, because, well, I wasn't even supposed to have a tournament in the first place. And now it's like, now I'm getting that chance. So it's like, it's even better to be able to go out there and represent your country. But I think definitely heading into camp again this year, which again, thank you for the congratulations. Being able to just go in there and enjoy the experience. Like you don't know how often it's going to come. It might not come again. So just being able to go there, enjoy playing with the girls at the highest level, being able to play with the great coaching staff, and to see what it's like to train as a professional, as like the national team players were. I think when I used to go to these camps, I always used to be so nervous about, oh, how am I performing? Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And now it's just you got to just go in there and have fun, enjoy the experience, because like I said, you never know how often it's going to come.
Okay, so I have to ask, and I forgive me, but I keep kind of making the parallels here, but it truly sounds that as though your time with Team Canada has been really truly impactful for you and to you as both a player, but also as an individual. That has to translate to your time at Cornell. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think just learning how, like I said, learning how they train under like such a professional atmosphere, and all the meetings that come with it, and all the different little things you learn just around the rink, around the different players you get to play with, around the coaching staff. It just definitely helps to build your mindset off the ice and how to approach different things. And then on the ice, just the different skills you learn and how different players play. Because as you know, the team is built up of all different kinds of girls from all different teams. So being able to train with all of them and learn different things that they have learned throughout their career at the highest level is definitely a bonus to how my game has become what it is today.
Oh, I love hearing that. I feel so inspired right now. This is incredible. This is amazing. Let's continue your career. We've talked about Cornell a few times. For audio listeners, you're rocking the Cornell gear, which looks great. I think this is a really interesting conversation where a lot of Canadians, the default is to go to NCAA and Division One. Like you just like that, you don't like, there's no second thought. I think things are sort of starting to change in which, a lot more Canadians are selecting to stay in Canada, go through what is now known as U Sports. What went into your decision? First of all, sorry, shouldn't bury the lead. Congratulations, you're attending Cornell, which is amazing. That's absolutely incredible. I glossed over that. But what went into your decision to attend Cornell as opposed to, well, attend Cornell? What went into that? But also, what went into your decision to not continue your career in Canada?
Well, once again, thank you. But Cornell was caught my eye right away. I did a couple camps there over the summers, and I went on some tours while I was down there. I loved the campus. It always had such a nice, warm feeling to it. I loved the old barn style rink. I got to skate on it for a camp, and I was like, this is amazing. And being able to talk with coaches over the phone and that relationship I got to build with them, and it almost felt like I was already on the team before I was even there. And they try to have a very strong connection with their players, which I really appreciate, and they still do to this day. They try to check in on you and all that, and so it's also not too far from home. It's only 4 hours away from the city, so being able to come home if I need to, and my parents to be able to come down whenever they need to, was definitely a big part of my decision as well. And not to mention, at the time, they were the number one team in the country, so that was definitely a big factor as well. And to be able to maintain that high level status while I'm there too has been exciting to see. Regarding Ontario universities, I think when I went to commit on like Ontario or Canadian schools were not kind of as you mentioned, they've kind of grown over the years. They weren't as big in recruiting, and you didn't really see them that often. But I think over these last couple of years, we've played them in a couple exhibition games, and the level has gotten so much better, and the girls going there have that desire to want to get better and to want to be able to play at the highest level. And so being able to play against them these last 2 years in exhibition games has really shown me that, like, wow, Canadian schools are really growing to become something special. And so I think they're going down a good path, and I think they're really going to grow over the next couple of years.
Well, and that's exactly, so thank you so much for highlighting that, because I think that's one of the things that, the default for, for anyone is like, okay, I'm going to go, NCAA, like that's the natural, like they are traditionally the better schools, right? But I think this is why I love having Canadians who on the podcast who have gone to NCAA to kind of like gain a perspective in terms of why NCAA as opposed to U Sports. But to your point, U Sports is absolutely like there's a lot more investment in U Sports. There's a lot more priority put on keeping Canadians here. So it's great to hear that, you've had some really good competitions with them rather than before where, not too long ago, it would have been an easy win for NCAA. So what is that, I guess, put you on the spot here, but what does that kind of mean for you where you're like, hey, I'm proud to be, attending Cornell, no regrets, but it's so great to hear and to see the progress of Canadian university hockey.
Yeah, so over my last 4 years, we've gotten to my last 2 years, we've gotten to play 4 different teams. We've played Concordia, we've played McGill, we've played U of T, and we played the University of Ottawa. And all 4 of them compete down the line of rink, and it's exciting because I know they're excited. They want to come down and play NCAA schools, and they come with a lot of energy and ready to go because they know, like you've mentioned, that NCAA schools are good and that they want to compete against us. And I think that has also been a really good aspect, is that they want to come down and they're competing. They want to win as well. But like you said, yeah, in the past, it's always been, oh, the NCAA is so much better. But as the years have gone, they've gotten a lot closer and a lot better competition. I know a lot of other teams have played other schools as well. And I remember, like, it's always a good game. Like, you don't really see blowout scores anymore. And I think that's really also showing how much the girls' game has grown over the last couple of years too.
And we will be right back. This episode is sponsored by sports nutritionist Melissa Buffunos of MB Performance Nutrition. As a former competitive hockey player turned nutritionist, Melissa's mission is to help the next generation of hockey players optimize their diets and health so they can perform their best both on and off the ice. Ready to dominate on the ice? Melissa's new course, The Hockey Nutrition Blueprint, is available now. If you're serious about learning how nutrition can impact performance and building actionable nutrition strategies based on your unique needs as an elite hockey player, learn more and sign up at melissabufunos.com/course. That's MELISSABOUFOUNOS.com/course, and make sure to use code Rinkside to save $50 off the regular price. Thank you to Melissa Bufunos for sponsoring this episode. And now, back to the show. Okay, so you have set me up with the greatest segue, because speaking of, women's hockey and the growth of women's hockey, we would be remiss to not talk about the PWHL, right? Yeah. This first season is behind us. I wish, as much as I love the nice weather, as much as I love the sun, I cannot wait for the start of the second season. And I'm sure you must feel the same way. I just love to hear your thoughts on the success of the first season, and just how it means from the outside to be able to see such these fans. I've said this before, and I for everyone out there, I know I keep saying this, but I will say this until I'm blue in the face. My most incredible sporting experience has been PWHL. It isn't even close. I've gone to baseball, hockey, NHL, basketball, all these other different sports. It isn't even close to the experience that I had in women's hockey. What does it mean to you, especially as you're going through your collegiate career? And for a lot of collegiate athletes, before, you were either reliant on hopefully I can sign somewhere overseas and continue my career, or I guess I'm going to fall back on my diploma. Not to say to fall back on, not to diminish that, but to leverage your degree or diploma. What does it mean to you to see how successful it's been, and just the fan engagement?
Well, yeah, like you said, watching the fans on TV has been pretty exciting. Unfortunately, the schedules don't align very well, but I really want to go see a game in person if it does work out. But yeah, this past season was definitely an exciting one to see. I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, so seeing them play at the Bell Center in Montreal was definitely really cool as well. But it's really exciting to see where the game has grown and has become, like I mentioned, with the Canadian universities. That's how much they've grown as well. It's because girls now know that there's a chance that they can go and play further. When you go into university, you're like, okay, these are my last 4 years. That's it. Like you've mentioned, unless you go to Europe. But some girls don't like to go far from home and they like to stay close. So having this chance now that after I graduate, I could have another 3 years. And so being able to see that as an opportunity in the future, I think will definitely help the level of the girls' game. It'll definitely be a lot better, more competitive, because everyone knows that there's a fighting chance that we all can go and play in a professional league one day, especially close to home. So,
gosh, I can't not smile the biggest smile ever hearing you say that, because it's just, it is long overdue. This is absolutely amazing. And you kind of touched on it there a little bit, but I really want to know, for you personally, not even obviously professionally, it's clear, well, now there's a league that you can play in. So that's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to, gloss over that. That's really important. But for you personally, what does this mean to you to have seen the success of this league? And everyone is just they're chomping at the bit. Like I just said, I'm ready I don't like the winter, but I am ready for the winter because it means there's women's hockey, and it's women's hockey 100%, right? What does it mean for you personally to see this league and to know that you have a future now potentially in this league? And I'm confident that I'll be rooting for you. So just so you know, you have a fan. So
Thank you. I think especially after this past draft, being able to see girls that I've played against all year from the NCAA get drafted really shows that like, wow, there's a chance. And being able to see my captain this past season go and get drafted to PWHL Toronto locally, it's really exciting. And hopefully I get the chance to watch her play at home. But it's really cool to be able to see girls that I played against this for the last 2 years to get drafted, and now they're going to play professional. And it's kind of like, wow, like I got to play against you, and now you're playing against the best, and I have the chance of doing that as well. So definitely something that I would love to achieve one day. Definitely something I'm going to work towards. But it's cool to see that it's a possibility now. And as I mentioned, it's definitely going to help the level of the games over the next 2 years before I graduate too.
Yeah, and this seems like a silly question that I already know the answer to, but I'll ask it anyway because I'm great with silly questions that I already know the answer to. But how do, like, when you think about especially seeing your captain drafted, especially seeing all of these players that you're like, well, I played with or against you. This is wild. Like, how does that change your approach, both on and off the ice, when it comes to hockey?
I wouldn't say it changes my approach more so. I think it just gives me more of like a positive mindset that now I have a chance at pursuing this even further. So rather than, like I said, okay, next 2 years I'm done. Like college is over, I'm done hockey. Then I got to start making life decisions. But now it's like I can look and be like, okay, I have maybe 5 more years of hockey, and just kind of having that positive mindset that maybe one day I can keep playing and keep going with it, and that who knows, maybe in 2-3 years it's expanded even more, and maybe I'm playing for 8 more years or 10 more years or whatever it may be. But I think more so just helping the off ice mentality of that, hey, there's a future in this, and that if I keep working towards it, maybe I could be a part of that future.
All right, great answer. And it seems like a perfect spot for us to shift gears. And we're going to come to the final, unfortunately, the final segment of this of the show. But the most, I think, a really fun segment. And this is same thing I say all the time. This is a scientifically proven test to really get to know the one and only Alyssa Regalado. And this is a test that has been put together by the crack team here at the Rinkside Rundown podcast, which is really led by my dog Isaac and myself. So this is great. He does a ton of work, absolutely underpaid. So we're going to now dive into that. Alyssa, are you ready?
I am, yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is going to be a whole roller coaster of questions. This is going to be some serious. This is going to be some super silly. So we're going to start off, unsurprisingly, with a serious one. What are you most proud of from this past season?
Definitely the team finishing 6th overall in the country and winning the Ivy League championships. That was exciting to be a part of, especially since, as I mentioned, this was my captain's last year. She got drafted to the PW, but being able to win this for her, I know she really wanted to end it on a high note. Obviously, unfortunately, we couldn't win the whole NCAA championship, but being able to win the Ivy Leagues with her and for her to be a part of it was definitely an exciting moment. And then, like I said, being able to finish 6th in the country, not many teams can say they finished top 6 in the country. And so being able to go to the ECAC tournament as a top 4 ECAC team. And so I think this season had a lot of highs and a lot of excitement, and definitely want to try to transfer into next year and to maintain that high level of status amongst our team.
Yeah, and if you couldn't tell, giant smile on her face, as expected, which is totally fair. You had touched on earlier, sort of your play as a defender, but I kind of wanted, for people who have never had the opportunity to be able to see you play, I wanted to get you to kind of, give yourself a scouting report. How would you describe your style of play?
I would like to say I'm more of an offensive defenseman. I definitely like to jump up into the rush when I get the chance and put pucks on net from the point in the offensive zone. I like to try to create second opportunities and to help the team score goals when we need to score goals. I'd like to say I'm a strong north-south skater. I can get up and down the ice very fast, forwards and backwards. And as you mentioned previously, definitely a student of the game. I'm always trying to watch hockey. Team Canada is playing in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, which is the U18 boys right now. And so I've been watching that over the last couple of days. But I love watching the game. I love learning in the game, seeing kind of what younger kids are even bringing to the stage now, to try to apply it to my game as well, and see where the game's growing. So I think my offense, my skating, and probably my hockey sense are my three biggest attributes.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. This is a really interesting opportunity because, as much as you're now preparing for, connecting with Team Canada and stuff like that, I always say, like, you're in your off season, but, like, let's be honest, like, no one's ever, when you're a hockey player, you're never really in an off season, but technically you're in your off season. What does the off season, like a traditional, like, this is a little bit different because your off season is going to be including Team Canada, but like a traditional off season, what does that look like for Alyssa Regalado?
A lot of off-ice training. I try to go to the gym probably 4 days a week, on the ice 2 to 3 times a week. Definitely working on off-ice power, off-ice speed. We do a lot of speed work down at Cornell, so trying to work on that over the summer as well. Working on my strength, going to the track, working on my cardio, working on my conditioning. And then on the ice, having a meeting with my coach at the end of the year, seeing what he would like to see for improvement over the summer and how I can benefit the team for the next year, and working on those parts of the game that they would like to see me improve at, and then whatever I would like to improve at as well. So definitely a little bit of a slower pace, focusing more on specific details of the game rather than fast pace kind of team flow practices, but slowing it down, working on specific things that I need to get better at. But yeah, and then spending time with family, trying to get away from the rink a little bit too.
Yeah. Actually be able to enjoy your summer, your off season a little bit. Yeah. Crazy concept. We spoke about the impact that Joe Bukovich had on your career, but I now realize that we cannot escape the importance of talking about the impact that your current coaching staff has had on you. Do you want to just what's that relationship been like for you, and what kind of impact have they helped to, how have they helped to continue elevating your play?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think they've done a really good job at connecting with all the players. I know the D coach at Cornell, she tries to schedule a video with each of us every week, and so we go over the games from the last weekend. She cuts clips and goes over, okay, you did this really well, let's try to keep doing that. And then we break down a clip. What do you think you could have done here instead? How can we change this? So I think that has definitely helped my game and grow my game. And then with the head coach and the forward coach, just always checking in and seeing how you're doing and staying on the ice with you after practice for an extra hour or two or whatever it may be, definitely helped grow my game to where it is now and is building my skill as well.
All right, fantastic. And I love that. And it sounds very much like when you talk about, the Etobicoke Dolphins program, and then you talk about the Cornell program, there are so many ties there. There are so many comparables, right? In terms of how each program is approaching the most important thing, which is crazy, but connecting with your players, right? And the impact that can have on the players, both on and off the ice, right? Speaking of off the ice, I like to try to sometimes set myself up with some segues. What is your go-to pregame meal?
Ooh, I am a big lover of salmon. I love salmon, rice, and any green vegetable, usually broccoli or asparagus, but I'm pretty easygoing as long as there's salmon. I'm pretty happy. Or like a spaghetti with meat sauce.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. I was expecting pasta at some point, so that's okay.
Yeah.
During the season, who owned the dressing room music and what was played most often?
So this year would be a senior. Her name is Lily Delianitas. She owns the music, practice, games, you name it. She's really good. She always changes it up. She listens to a lot of music and tries to find whatever she's liking lately, and ends up the whole team likes it. So you get from the throwbacks, the 2000 throwbacks, to old rock music, to EDM music before a 7 a.m. workout, whatever it may be. She always keeps it different, which I think is also really good because we never get sick of the music she plays either. But at the start of the year, everyone kind of alternated and we each got to play music, and then that ended. And so she kind of just stuck with it after that. But no complaints about what she plays. I think it always, like I said, it's always interesting and always excited to hear what she has to play.
Okay, so you alluded to the fact that everyone had a chance to play some music. So this is another great segue in terms of if you were, if you could listen rather to only one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I'm gonna kind of give you a moment. I'm gonna do a little preamble here to give you a moment to think about what your answer might be. It doesn't have to play all the time, but if you're like, man, I'm looking for a banger. Like I'm just looking for that song right now. It has to be this song.
Hey, I'm a huge country fan.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna stick with my gut. I'm just gonna go with Morgan Wallen.
Okay.
A song called "Thought You Should Know." It's a little bit of a slower song, but every time I play it, I never skip over it. It's always one of my favorites, so I'm definitely gonna have to go with that.
Good job. I love that song. That's a really good one. That's
Really?
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always thankful that I'm not on your side of these questions because I wouldn't have an answer. So I listen to that song all the time.
I started going through all the genres in my head, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, where do I go? What do I?" Yeah.
You got to go with your gut. Like you said,
Yeah,
you got to go with your gut. Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. What is something that remains on your bucket list?
Well, with the Olympics going on right now, definitely going to compete in the Olympics one day. It's definitely on my bucket list. Obviously, it's a goal that everyone wants to achieve. Before the PWHL was even created, that was, I guess, the goal of women's hockey, was to eventually go represent your country in the Olympics. So that's still a goal of mine. Who knows, maybe one day I'll switch sports and I'll end up representing it in a different sport, as some people have done over the years. But for now, being able to represent Team Canada in the Olympics someday would be very cool.
Well, regardless of which sport you will represent, I can promise you have a number of fans who will be cheering you on, Alyssa Regalado. And so a couple last questions here for you. What is something that people may not know about you?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I always like to be on this side of the questions because I can just ask the question rather than having to have an answer. So, yeah. Does something come to mind?
It's not that interesting. I have a pet cat. We have a cat around the house. We used to have a dog, but now we have a cat. Her name's April. She's an orange cat. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
That's fine. How old is that?
Question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's and I like to throw those curveballs in there. Like I said, it's a roller coaster. It's easy questions, and then it's like really like, oh no, I don't know what I'm gonna say to this question. How old is April?
She is about 10.
Oh, okay. So are you a cat person or a dog I mean, now you're a cat person, but would you say you lean one way or another?
No, I would
Just
say
animals?
not even just animals. I'm not a big like animal person. I don't need to have an animal around me at all times. I know a lot of people are big dog peoples and their dogs are their best friends, but with or without an animal, I'm okay.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
I'm just content with whatever I've got. I'm good.
That's fair. Yeah. Isaac would definitely tell me that we are best friends. So, yes. Lastly, what is something, and again, here goes the roller coaster. It's going to get serious again. What is something that motivates and inspires you? And that can be either, or it can be both, but either personally or professionally.
Like in the game of hockey?
Or you could, or just in life, or just in life.
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me, and it might be the biggest thing, is the fact, like I mentioned, I have a younger sister, since she plays hockey. And so a lot of her friends have been out to my games, have seen me play. And I think being able to kind of be a role model for a lot of them has definitely pushed me to want to get better every day and to keep getting better. Seeing them, and they're always excited to say hi, and they're like, "Oh, how's hockey going?" That's kind of like the first thing they always ask me. And I think being able to keep pushing myself to get better and to show them that I'm wanting to get better and I'm wanting to kind of grow my game and to get to that next level and to be a role model for them, because I know when I was younger, being able to see players in the NCAA or national players as a role model was definitely a cool experience, and to know that I can kind of be a part of their life and be a role model for them is something that I look to as well.
Oh my goodness, that was a great answer. That was a perfect way to end what's been an incredible conversation. I'm left with a giant smile on my face, and I'm so thankful for your time, Alyssa. I just want to say thank you so much. Good luck with Team Canada. Good luck in your upcoming season with Cornell. But at the end of the day, just thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this experience.
Good, I'm so glad. And there you have it, folks. For Alyssa Regalado, I'm Chris Sinclair, and this has been the Rinkside Rundown podcast. Cheers.